see you here tonight. We're going to have a great night. I'm going to tell you, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's here tonight. He said, Eric, you know something I love about the Eagles Super Bowl wins? He goes, is there anything more satisfying than pummeling Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl? And I went, yes, sir, absolutely. Hey, welcome. My name is Eric. I'm the pastor here at Hope Community Church. And listen, one of the things I told, Jamal, is he's been here for a few years and he's learning the ropes in Philadelphia. But I told him, I said, Jamal, Philadelphia fans are different than any fans in the NFL. You see, other cities' fans think they know more than the coach. But we all know that Philadelphia fans, in fact, do know more than the coach. And there's not a Sunday morning that goes by where, during the off season that Jamal isn't kind of backed in the corner like a boxer because people are saying, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But tonight is your night. We're going to put Jamal on the spot here with some Philadelphia Eagles trivia to see if you, in fact, can stump the coach. But first, I don't want to bring up just the assistant head coach or the running backs coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to bring up the world champion assistant head coach, Jamal Singleton.
Hey, we were cheering, no booing later. I know how y'all are.
So Jamal, we're thrilled to have you here. I know we're going to hear more about you, but tonight, I told your wife, I said, listen, you better bring some tissues because Jamal may end up in a fetal position here on this stage. But we're going to throw some trivia out there to you. And I'm trying to look around. There's the real coach over here, your daughter, Mallory. So, Mallory, you're keeping score here. So, we're going to throw out 10 trivia questions. And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to put the trivia up, but don't yell out answers because we want all the pressure on Jamal. And then after Jamal answers it, we'll see what you guys think, and then we'll find out what the answer is. But let's go with some trivia here. So, what do we got next? All right. Head coach with the highest winning percentage in Eagles history is, we got Sirianni, Greasy Neal, who's a real coach, believe it or not. Andy Reid or Buddy Ryan, what do you got?
I got to go with my guy. I'm going with Nick Sirianni.
All right, he says Nick Sirianni. What do you guys agree, disagree? Agree. All right, what do we got? There we go, Nick Sirianni.
I'm done after this. That's it.
All right, next question. Let's see what we got here. All right, the all-time leading rusher in Philadelphia history. Ricky Waters, Wilbur Montgomery, LaShawn McCoy, or Brian Westbrook.
In history.
It'll be Saquon eventually. We just got to get out here.
I'm going to go C, Shady.
He's going to go C with Shady. What do you guys think? Let's see. What do we got? Shady.
They're about to get harder, aren't they?
All right. No. Jamal, what I do that?
And there you go.
All right. Which quarterback has the most rushing yards in their career? Donovan McNabb, Jalen Hurts, Randall Cunningham, or Mike Vick?
Man, I got to go with the guys who've kind of been around. I'm going Randall.
He's going Randall. What do you guys think?
Come on. I'm guessing, totally guessing.
All right, let's see what we got.
I didn't think he was here that long.
I gotta be honest, I'm really disappointed because you said I'm good with all the modern stuff.
Yeah, it's
Here we go. Now this one you should know because you were born right around this time. I know.
that's right.
The Eagles' first season in the NFL in 39, 35, 30, 31, or 33.
Going 33.
It's going 33. Agree? Disagree? All right, we gotta see thumbs up. Rich is going thumbs down, but he doesn't even like that. All right, what we got? We got three.
Come on.
All right, next question. 1985 rookie defensive end Reggie
Oh, this is bad.
the Eagles defense to a different level. What was his jersey number? 90, 91, 92, 93.
I should know this one. D?
He's going to say
Three.
D. Agree or
Oh, hold on 1 second. How many of you know this answer? Okay, you guys put your hands down.
All right, so you're saying
Younger than 50, how many know this question?
All right,
between those two. It was one.
Never go against the old Italian party mouth.
Oh!
Reggie White, you're
Yeah! Yeah! Well, boo! Boo! Yeah.
91 his rookie year. His next year he turned it up number 92.
Oh, see, Cheetah. Being specific with the
Like I
year.
said, Carnivalides had him. He had his pull of the year.
Listen.
I wish Reggie would have played with Buffalo. All right, during World War II, Pastor Steve, no cheating, you were there. During World War II, the Eagles were forced to merge for one season with what team? The Jets, the Giants, the Redskins, or the Steelers?
Do you know this one? My daughter knows it.
Now, hold on.
Phone a friend?
You're on your own, and we'll see what she says. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with the Giants. I have no
Go
idea.
with the Giants. Valerie, who do you go with? Valerie says the Steelers. How many people think the Jets? The Giants? The Redskins or the Steelers? All right. Answer. It's the Steelers.
Yeah! Hey,
You could end up in a coaching.
that's my daughter. I get that point too. Don't just say. Don't say.
Valerie, if you play this right, you could have a car by the end of this game. All right. What quarterback has the most wins against the
Oh, see, no, this is a negative
team?
question.
Staubach, Theisen, Eli Manning, or Troy Aikman?
Oh, it's back in the day. You got the Cowboys. You got the Redskins. I'm gonna go Theismann.
He's going to go with Theismann. How many people think A? How many people think B?
Me
C?
and you, we together.
D? Drew, you're really disappointing me. The answer is Roger Staubach. Now, I threw a Dallas one in there just to throw you a cookie, and you threw it up. All
He's
right.
a Navy guy. I couldn't go with
Yeah.
that Navy guy.
All right. Are you keeping track of the score here, Mallory? Mallory, are you keeping track of the score?
She forgot. That's okay. You
Okay,
got a
all right,
question
all
right.
right.
You're good.
What NFL team, you gotta get this, what NFL team did Saquon Barkley dream of playing for when he was young? The 49ers, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Cowboys.
Well, I know his dad was a Jets fan, so I'm going with the Jets.
Go with the Jets. How many people 49ers? How many people the Dolphins? How many people the Jets? How many people the Cowboys? The answer is the New York Jets.
I'm doing better than I thought I was going to do, really. I'm like, I'm really good, yeah.
You know, you're in.
Let's
I like
do
that.
it.
I like that. Okay, let's keep going here. Who is the first 1,000-yard rusher in Philadelphia Eagles history? Van Buren, Tim Brown, Deuce Staley, Wilbert Montgomery.
I'm going Montgomery.
It's going Montgomery.
It's
How
probably
many people think
It's probably Van Buren. That's an
How
old
many
school
people
guy.
think Tim Brown? How many think Deuce Staley? How many people think Montgomery?
It's probably
Survey says Steve Van Buren.
before my time. Way before my time.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's finish up here. The Super Bowl, the Eagles beat the Patriots. What player led the Eagles in total yards of scrimmage? Was it Aguilar, Clement, Blunt, or Ash? It was
Alshon.
Alshon.
Gosh. Corey had that big wheel route that he caught for a touchdown. I'm going to go C. I'm going to go with Garrett Blount.
He's going with Blunt. How many people think A? How many people B? How many people C? How many people D? Answer is C.
I was right. I knew he had the wheel route for a touchdown. Gosh.
All right, this is where it really comes through. Jamal, it's the last play of the Super Bowl. The Eagles are on the 10-yard line, and they need a touchdown to win. Hurts is going to throw the ball with the season in the balance. Who should he look for to get the ball in the end zone? A, Saquon Barkley. B, A.J. Brown. C, Devontae Smith. Or D, Cowboy pastor Rob Schwinn.
D's look, that's like
It's tough.
the hands of God. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go with another hit. He's going to run QB sneak. We're going to run a draw play, and he's going to score. What do we need to throw it for? We're a running team. Either one. We're going to Saquon Barkley. He's going to run a little option route, get it done. Why not? Let him score.
What do we have? Survey says Now, ladies and gentlemen, that last question, if you got it well, it was a bonus. You get 2 points. So, Mallory, how many points did your dad score on this test? He had 4. How many people have more than 4?
Oh, yeah, nobody's keeping your score.
More than 7. Wow.
Okay.
What? Anybody more than 8?
No.
Yeah, more than 8? Well done.
Remember, we're in church.
Hey, listen,
Just saying.
I'm going to text Coach Sirianni this time that you got some talent.
That's it. There you go.
Well, listen, we're going to have a great night. Jamal, thanks for being a good sport. Mallory, out of curiosity, what did you get on the test? But you got the Steelers one.
You got 1. That was good.
That was pretty good. All right, hey, listen, let's bring up everybody's favorite Rob Schnee. Cowboy Pastor, Rob Schnee.
Never bet against the guy that made the questions. I'm just saying that. How we doing tonight? We having a good time? Well, hey, we're going to take some time, and you're going to get to hear more from Jamal. We're going to have a conversation in a little bit. But before we do that, whenever any coach goes anywhere, they're always on the lookout for some undiscovered talent. And so before we dive into our conversation tonight, we just want to see if we've got any unsigned opportunities because, you know, the Eagles are always on the hunt for some more running back talent. They don't have that much there. But so I need 3 of our best ball handlers. I don't know how else to put it. If you're the guy that is still talking about that one play from high school 40 years ago, like you're the guy we need to come on up here. But I need 3 of the guys that are like, this is my moment. This is my Vince Papale moment, right? I am the next Invincible right here. I need to show the coach what I got.
Whoa. There's just a couple parameters.
Oh, okay.
You got to be 6 foot.
Oh.
You got to be 225 pounds. You have to run a 4.340.
Okay.
You have to bench 225 35 times. What? Nobody can do that?
Looks like I'm the only one left.
That's it.
All right, so seriously, I need 3 guys. Let's look. This is your moment.
Don't be afraid.
This is your moment for the world to.
All right, come over here. Come on here. Come here.
2 more.
You got to see if you can follow directions too.
The
Right
guy in
there.
the brown sweatshirt over here. Yep.
Right there. Yep. Come on. We need 1 more.
We need 1 more. There it is.
There you go. Come on, over here.
Go ahead, over here.
Right over here.
All right, we're gonna do a little coach's evaluation here. So we're gonna give you guys a football, and we need to see who's got the best security, who can protect the rock best. All right. So please don't take it too personal. I mean, this is all business. So just it'll be okay.
So this ball is heavy.
Wow, whose kid is that?
All right. So I coach with a bag of goodies that I use, things that I do, different things. The guys hate it, to be honest with you. So we're going to work on ball security, right? I have a phrase. Do you remember my phrase? I'm putting you on the spot, Mallory. Ball security is? You don't remember. Ball security is job security. All right? Mine too, unfortunately. I don't get to carry the ball. So we talk, and one of the things that I do weekly is I have to do a weekly presentation on ball security. We watch our opponent on how they try to rip the ball out, and we run drills and do all these type of things to make sure that we're good at it. We were pretty good this year when you look at the turnover margin. So the first thing we do is we call it an eagle claw. Fitting, right? So we always want to have our finger like an eagle claw over the cone. Reason why is the tip of the football is the hardest spot of a ball. If I put my finger on that and a helmet hits my finger and I've got it tight, anybody microwave a hot dog for too long? You seen that? Imagine a finger doing the same thing, taking the helmet on that. So it's part of safety, part of taking the ball, and the point. We also talk about a couple things. Wrist above the elbow, meaning I want to carry the ball here, not here. The other thing is I got to have a tight elbow, right? I want my thing there, and then the last one we talk about a wrist lock, right? So a couple things. That's the quick demonstration. So I want you to hold the ball. Are you lefty? Oh, you got the ball in your left hand. Interesting. I need to work with that. I need to get you to Saquon and get him to do that more. All right, so now you probably know what's going to happen right now. This is our six. So I use this to protect my hand. So I got to punch. But I can get right there. Punch it. Good. Oh, that wrist went above the elbow. Same thing. I see you flexing. I see you flexing. Right? It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's pretty good. All right? You talk about that? Hitting around guards right there, throwing the ball. Here. And because you let me punch you, get your little sign. Right? Right there. And you ruined my trick. You're supposed to drop the ball. Way cool. So, hey, let's give these ball security masters a little round of applause. Huh? I carry a glove, too. I use a punching glove, so I do that as well.
All right. Well, so we're going to take some time. We're just going to have a conversation tonight, and I'm excited for you to be a part of this conversation. I met about 3 years ago now, almost 4.
Almost
maybe?
4, yeah.
4 years, yeah. So it's interesting because Jamal and I's first interaction went something like this. We were at a rodeo, and we had heard about Jamal and Jen and Mallory and what they did, and I was born and raised in North Jersey, so we'll just preface everything with that. And so I saw Jamal at the rodeo, and I was there with my son, and I walked up to Jamal, tapped him on the shoulder, and my first interaction with him was, listen, I'm a huge Giants fan, but my father-in-law is an Eagles fan, so can my kid take a picture with you? That was our first interaction. And miraculously, after that heartfelt intro, Jamal was like, you know what, I want to be friends with that guy. And so we've been friends for the past 3 or 4 years. And so I'm excited for you to get to hear the Jamal that I've gotten to know over these past few years. And so we're going to take some time. We've got some questions for him. Some are fun, some are more deep. And then we're going to give you an opportunity at the end to ask the questions that you've always been dying to know. So be thinking about that, and we'll get to that at the end. But first, before we start with kind of the longer answered questions, I thought it would just be fun to play a little game of Would You Rather, or this or that, whatever it may be. And so I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and I just want your first instinct response, all right? Don't think too hard about it. Just give us what you got, okay? We're just going to use this to kind of warm us up, get to know each other. First one, would you rather sleep in or take a nap?
Sleep in.
Okay. Arm day or leg day?
Ooh, leg day.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hotel or cabin in the woods?
Cabin in the woods.
Okay. Frank Gore or Saquon Barkley? Oh, yeah.
So I coach Frank Gore at the Colts. Phenomenal. Still have a great relationship with him. But come on, Saquon. I mean, that's the man.
All right. Well played. Well played. All right. Horse or Harley?
Harley for me.
Okay. Winter or summer?
Summer.
4th and inches or 3rd and long?
4th and inches. You know it's coming.
All right. Yeah, we do. Country or rap?
Christian rap.
Okay. Fish and chips or steak and potatoes?
Oh, fish and chips. My mother's Grish.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one. What is the actual name of the tush push?
Hold on, we got a 40. If it wasn't for the 49ers fan, I'd be able to give you that information. So, sorry, you have to talk to him later. I'm sorry. Can't do it.
All right, we'll get it. Don't worry. I'm on a mission tonight. All right. So anyway, that's just a little. That's just a little fun thing that we're gonna do. Now let's dive into some of kind of just the deeper things here tonight. So why don't we start by just give us the story of how your journey to the NFL looked. Like, how did you arrive here today?
Well, be honest with you, my journey kind of started at the Air Force Academy. That's where I went to school. I played ball there. Had plans of being a pilot. That was the whole plan. So I started a little flight training thing. Didn't really like flying, but I also started coaching at a prep school that they have there. And I fell in love with coaching and just knew, gosh, this is something that I want to be able to do. This is something that I feel I'm passionate about. And basically gave up a pilot slot. And we laugh because it literally took an act of Congress for me to give up my pilot slot. Because I knew it was a 10-year commitment back then. So if I was going to fly, it was going to be 10 years before I ever have a chance to coach again. And I didn't think I could do that. So ended up getting out of that, stayed at the academy, left, was stationed at Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas for a couple years, got back to the academy, and then really that's when my coaching started. I I was still active duty in the military. Coach DeBerry, my coach, phenomenal man, phenomenal person, man of faith, gave me my first job. So the man that I played for in college football is also the first person I ever coached for. So it was awesome for me there. I was there for a long time. You know, that was home. My wife and I got married in the chapel there in Colorado Springs, and just phenomenal experience, and just kept growing. And in this profession, which like the military, you don't move. It's just the way it is. So we spent some time in Oklahoma State. We were there for about 4 years. Someone joined us in Stillwater, Oklahoma. The young lady there that knows more than me on trivia, but then went to Arkansas for a year, and it was after Arkansas I made my first step into the NFL, and that was with the Indianapolis Colts, hence the Frank Gore comment. Well, I do have to tell this. So the year before we went, I applied for an internship with the Colts, like just trying to get my feet in, try to get in there, and got denied. Got told, just got the rejection letter from Chuck Pagano and all that. So pretty tough time, my chances over. Fast forward 1 year later, I'm getting offered the running back job, coaching running backs at the Indianapolis Colts, the same place that I couldn't get the internship as the place where I started my NFL career. So that was kind of my story leading into that, and with the Colts, and we in the business know that the NFL does not stand for National Football League, it stands for not for long. And that's players and coaches in that same well. So that my journey has spent 2 years at the Colts. So my first time in the NFL, boom, Andrew Luck's there. We're going to kill it, all this stuff. We go 8-8 and 4-12 and get fired. I'm out of a job. Just started, first time in the NFL, and I'm like, okay, what do we do next? How does this work? And just through the process, connecting with people, guys I work with, all that, had the opportunity to continue my coaching career in the NFL. Went to the Oakland Raiders. That was Gruden's first year. So was on his staff in Oakland. Was with Marshawn Lynch there. Only spent a year there. That's a whole story, but was able to get down to Cincinnati with a good friend that I'd worked with at Oakland, and was with the Cincinnati Bengals for 2 years. Spent some time there, and then, boom. That's when I came to the Eagles. It was basically from there, a little direct path coming through there. The crazy thing is, and I have to say this, because a lot of times people always say, yeah, we won a Super Bowl this year. I've been to 2 Super Bowls in the 4 years that I've been here. Unbelievable winning. But just understand that winning was prefaced with a bunch of losing. Right? A lot of losing. Basically, my entire career in the NFL until I got here, I'd never been to the playoffs. Right? So you're talking 6-7 years with nothing, having to move 3 times, right? All those things that kind of play into that. But got here and was able to do it. In fact, the year I left Cincinnati, you know what they did the next year? They went to the Super Bowl. The year I left. So, and I'll say that, I'll never forget it. I'm in the weight room. The year's over. I'm working out at the Eagles facility. And I'm just there. And Howie comes in, Howie Roseman, our GM. He's walking through. He's like, man, you wish you hadn't left? And I was like, and just really over me came said, and I just a calming feel. I was like, nah, I really think if God wanted me there, he would have kept me there. And what did we do the following year? Went to the Super Bowl. So it's like God's plan, his way, all that. And that's kind of something as we go through this career, me and my wife, my daughter, it's always there. Sometimes we try to make our own way and do our own thing. But when I believe in the Lord and follow just the things that he tells me, it's weird. Good things seem to happen. Out, right? Yeah, it's strange.
Interesting. Yeah. So, okay, you were in the Air Force. That is a grind. You were in college football. That's a grind. Now you're in the NFL. I'm curious, and we all would love to know, what does a typical work week look like for you? Monday to Saturday.
Okay, so typical work week, right? Sunday to Sunday, and we all know there's a lot of other modified versions of this. There's Sunday to Thursday, there's Friday, there's games in Brazil, there's games all over the place. So it's a little bit different. But the normal schedule for us, so after our game on Saturday, first thing we do when we get in the morning, a lot of times I'll grade it at home. So you grade the tape. Like each position group gets graded by their position coach. I'll go through tape, I make comments, I give grades, all that, and every player kind of gets their grades. So we'll get in Monday morning, finish that up, we'll meet as an offensive staff, kind of go through the tape together as a staff. Boom, we'll leave from there, kind of get started on our next opponent as we get going. Team meeting with the team. So during that time, that's when we're having a whole overview. Basically like this, we sit in a team room and the whole team comes in and we have all these different metrics that we kind of go over, what was good, what was bad, all those things. Then we break from that, go to a position meeting with each of our players. So each position group now breaks up. So you kind of start in a big class, then you go down to a smaller class, and that's kind of how your Monday goes. After that, the players kind of get out the building, and that's when we really start our grind on the next bump. Actually, we started it before, but that's kind of the part that we do that. So we do that. Tuesday, the players have off. So they're not really in the building. You don't have any interaction with them, and that's our big game planning day. So that's the day you spend all day prepping, getting ready for your first and second down stuff, all of that. And it's a whole lot of film. So you're watching your opponents, however many games, depending on how many they play, but a lot of them. You may go back and watch last year games depending on who the defensive coordinator is, the head coach. So a lot of film evaluation, a lot of breakdown that goes into it. My specific role during that part is I'm in charge of the pressures. So I have to come up with the protection plan versus our opponent. So what protections we're going to use, some of the blocking schemes, what they do, how they do it, when they do it, all those type of things that we try to break down. Wednesday, boom, the players come in. That's a big practice day for us. So that morning we're prepping for practice. We'll have pre-meetings where we do all our installation, basically tell them what plays we're running that day. And the week is segmented. I know I'm getting a little deep football. I see some football heads in here, so I'm talking to y'all a little bit, right? So Wednesday, like that's the installation. So it's usually first and second down. Those are our main things. We're doing first and second down, base down plays. We're talking the run game on first and second down. We're talking the pass game on first and second down. We're talking the protection plan on first and second down. And that, boom, we're going through all of that. We're meeting multiple times. We'll leave. We'll practice. We'll come back. Coaches will watch the film, right? And we'll get the players the next morning. We'll start with, hey, watch and review from last practice. And then Thursday is your third down day, right? So you're dealing with your third down situations. Third and short, third and medium, third and long, right? And that whole breakdown, same thing. The run game, the pass game, and the protections and all of that. And we do it the same way there. And then Friday, the next day, now we're in those evenings, we are prepping and evaluating for the next day's install. So Wednesday night we're prepping for Thursday. Thursday night we're prepping for Friday. Friday is your red zone day, right? That's when you're in the red zone. We call that kind of the 20-yard line in. We go high red, it's the 25-yard line in. We break that down by segment, what a defense does, when do they change what they do. Right, so it's kind of a process. And our Fridays, a little bit quicker, kind of fast Friday, we call it. We try and get the players out of the building by 1 o'clock, and then we kind of can get a little bit of time, but now you're really kind of prepping for the next day. Saturday was just a modified walkthrough, which we call a mock game, where we'll go over all our situations in a walkthrough tempo, all that. If we're playing on the road, we're going through that, then we're getting on the plane or the bus or train, and then getting out of there for the away game. And if it's at home, then we get a little bit of chance on Saturday. My wife's going to tell you, you don't come home on Saturday. What you mean you get time off? Because that's when I start prepping for the next opponent to get a head start. So Saturdays, I'm prepping for the next Sunday's game, not the Sunday coming up, prepping to get a start for that, really so that I don't have to stay at work till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Long nights, long hours. I do happen to have an inflatable mattress that sits under my desk to that side that can get used every now and then. I do have a wife that sleeps heavy enough so I can sneak home sometimes and not wake anybody up. But it's a long process, and we joke about coaches are kind of like pastors sometimes, because you just see us on Sundays and you think that we just showed up on Sunday, when we've actually been prepping since the Saturday before for that Sunday. So it's a long process.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what my week looks like too. Yeah, so I'm glad we can connect with that. Sure. That's why we get along so well, But, I find it interesting that you just heard what a schedule like that is like, and that's to play a football game on Sunday. And, when I experienced what his rhythm and routine looked like, it was a challenge to me, because I don't know about you, but I don't know if I put that much effort into the rhythms and the routines that I know God wants me to put into my life. How often do we just wake up and, I know it's important to read the Bible. I know I might need to pray. I know I should go to church. I should be a part of a group. But I'll get to that. Could you imagine what an NFL team would look like if they're like, you know what, fourth down's not that important. Let's just skip it this week. But how often do we compromise those things and think, it's not really that important? and then we see the results of that, right? So obviously this schedule is a grind, and I'm curious, in that grind, how do you keep the priorities? How do you keep your relationship with God a priority? How do you keep your relationship with your family a priority? How do you take care of all of those and nurture those relationships in the midst of the grind of an NFL season?
Yeah, you have to be very intentional. You do. We'd always talk about it. You're going to know what a person appreciates or wants by how they spend their time. And I think that's, for me, is just allotting those time, whether it's reading the Bible in the morning when I wake up or listening to it on my drive to work, right, to get the word. One of the greatest things and the big difference between coaching in college, I say big difference, and the NFL is really I can practice my faith at work. And it's an awesome thing. We have a team pastor. We have chapel the night before every game. We have a Bible study the day before that with all the coaching staff. So I'm able to practice my faith in my work environment. We go into the team room, and we have church in the team room. We're on the road, and our pastor would travel with us. And if he doesn't, then we have a visiting pastor that comes from that local area and does that. So it's, for me, I'm fortunate that I do work in a job that, although I'm spending a lot of time in the building, I do have the opportunity to go to church. I do have the opportunity to study the Bible with people that are going through the exact same situations that I'm going through, and it becomes that. And it's just those are my regular checklists. Boom, do first and second down pressures. Boom, go to Bible study on Saturday. Boom, get a little Friday night. So let's start turning it into a game night or Friday night. Just finding anything that we can do to that, because that stuff's important. Yeah. You know, there's at the end of the year, y'all aren't going to remember that the running back coach sat up here and talked about a Super Bowl in 20 years, right? But you are going to remember the moment. You are going to remember the time you spent with your family. You are going to remember those things. And I think that's where we have to be intentional in our lives.
Absolutely. I'm going to remember that we sat up here and talked about this in 20. All right. So moving through our schedule now, I can only imagine what it's like to stand on the field in a stadium, everybody cheering, everybody going crazy. There's tons of noise. There's tons of things. How do you yourself, and how do you, in the midst of all the noise, keep your players focused on the game plan and all the preparation that you put in during the week, and not just let it go out the window when something shiny catches your eye or some fan says something ridiculous?
So, random question. How many people have been in a game in the Link? It's crazy, right? It's loud, all that. But I will say this, and don't take this the wrong way. We learn how to block things out. Like, you learn when you're truly focused on something, that's what you're focused on. And then there's times during that where you let the outside. I can tell you right now, Saquon had one of the greatest runs against the Rams in the playoffs, and he's running down the field. He probably didn't hear anything really until he started slapping himself in the head in his excitement, right? That you allow that stuff in. So you're so focused on that, you can't get caught up in it. And it's what you do on a day-to-day basis. The crowd's going to be loud. You're going to hear them cheer. You're going to let that stuff come in when you get a chance. But you're so again, you've just spent that whole week. We're one of the sports that spend way more time practicing than we do playing. Right? It's amazing the amount of hours that a guy's going to spend on the field or in the training room or in the weight room doing all those things for 60 minutes. Right? And we do that and then you add the off season, you add training camp. And we're only playing 17 games, but we're working on our craft a lot more days than that. And really, when you put your focus that way, you're able to to block it out, but you're also able to let it in those exciting moments too.
Now, that's on the field, and I'd be curious about this. When you're off the field and you're putting that time in the running back room, in all the meetings and things like that, I got to imagine there's a temptation to think, okay, we're playing this team. We know they're not as good as if we were playing this team. Yeah, like we're playing the Bills, so we'll take 2 days off during the week, right? Like it's not that... But with the discipline and with tuning out all the noise, how do you show up and put the work in every week, regardless of who you're playing?
You know, it's really kind of a double question, because if you were asking me as a college coach, so when I was in college, I'd say we had bus games. It just is what it is. We have bus games. Meaning, as long as we got our starters on the bus to the stadium, we will win the game. Right? There's just a disparity. And we all know it, right? You see the different levels. One team has way more money, has more players, all that good stuff, right? So there's bus games, right? As coaches, we still keep it like it's still us, but players are going to know. In the NFL, there's not a week that I go in thinking, man, we got them. I don't need to work this week. It doesn't happen that way. It's built that way. The parity in the NFL is built so that on Sundays, you're watching the game to the fourth quarter. That's how it's built. And if you go back throughout the year and look at every weekly score of what the games were, 3 points, 6 points, 7 points, 3 points, 8 points, 6 points, 7 points, 3 points, 15 points, 20 points. But the majority of them are tight. It's built that way. Right? It's built that way. The way the draft is set up, the worst teams get the best picks in the draft. And they get the lighter schedule. The more you win, now you get a stronger strength of schedule going on. So it's all these things that are built in for the parity of it, the salary cap. Right? Every team has the same amount of money that they can spend on players. Just because you sell more merchandise doesn't mean you can pay more players. Baseball kind of does it a little bit. But I'm just talking football tonight. Just football. Right? Just football. So it's set that way. So believe me, I've been on way better teams and lost than the team we were playing. And it happens, and we all say it. They have players too. They have players that are making really good money too. So in the NFL, that doesn't fly. You have to grind just the same for a Super Bowl, just the same as week one against maybe what you deem or what the fans and the media deem as a lesser opponent. We don't have lesser opponents. Y'all, they should win. They should kill them this week. I'm grinding to the same time. I'm working to the same time. I wish I could be in your spot, but we can't because we understand the parity of each position group, and every team is different. Every team poses a different issue that you may have to deal with. So, no off weeks.
Yeah, no off weeks. Yep. Baseball doesn't have a salary cap, but we also can't take a knee in the fourth quarter and ride out the clock. We got to pitch every batter, but that's okay. Well, that's a different conversation for another day. It's okay. But just think about it for a second. Obviously we're talking football, but are you catching the connections between football and life? Are you catching how significant it is to be on your game, to show up and put the work in and day out? There is no easy days in life. There is no days where you can just mail it in. You can mail it in, but you're going to know what the results are going to be. But it's the times when we show up day in and day out when we didn't want to, when we put the work in, when it feels hard and we're tired. And we say, you know what? I know this is my priority. I know I need to be here. I know I need to connect. I know I need to read my Bible. I know I need to spend time with the Lord. Those are the moments where the champions are made. Those are the moments when it's 4th and inches where you're going to get the ball and you're going to get the first down. See, we're not just talking football. We're talking about all of our relationships. We're talking about all of our lives because every one of us are going to show up every morning and we're going to have to play. And we're going to have to be prepared because there are no off days. So, curious, talking about showing up and talking about putting in the work, obviously you do all of that because you want to succeed. You want to be the best at what you do. And I think the blessing and the curse of that when you succeed is you, whether you want to or not, you get put on this pedestal of, oh my goodness, look at what they did. Look at who they are. That's so-and-so, or they ran this many yards, or they had this many completions, or they stopped on this. And especially in the NFL, I think there's this celebration and idolization of success. And so how in the midst of all of that do you keep yourself and your players in a mindset of humility and not buying into that, yes, I am up on this pedestal, look at me.
It really kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier. It's not for long. I mean, the league is not for long. It's fleeting. And just personal experience, I really try to be humble or be humbled. And that has been so true in my career for nonstop. And just here alone, from 1 year removed playing in a Super Bowl to the next year maybe having to move because we don't have a job here anymore. Within 1 year. right? The difference, the highs and lows between 1 year in the NFL is crazy. And I can walk around, yeah, we was in the Super Bowl, boom, boom, boom. But that next year, if we don't perform, we don't well, I'm gone. I'm probably looking for a job. We're tied to the head coach. Head coach gets fired, we're all fired. And that's a big part of it is that you can't. I mean, if you put yourself on that pedestal, you may ride there for a little while, but at some point you're going to come down and you're going to fall. And it's, being able to live through the highs, enjoy the highs and love them, and work in the lows and understand that those two are going to come. But be humble or be humbled. And I think that goes in life, everything. Right? You could be the biggest, baddest, whoever. You act that way, you're going to run into somebody who's a much bigger, much badder than you are. And it's just how it goes. You're great, you're a phenomenal player, but you care about your teammates, you're friends with them, you're helping other guys out, you're doing all those things to help. That's being humble. Your greatness is there. Your greatness will show even more. I always feel if you got to talk about how great you are, you probably ain't great. But if someone else talks about how great you are, you probably are.
That's real good. That's real good. So like you said, it's a game of highs and lows. So how, in the midst of those highs and those lows, do you handle learning from the heartbreak but not living in it? Because I think that's something that, I don't know about you, but I wrestle with that. We have the rough patches, we have the lows, we have the heartbreak, and sometimes we can stay stuck in that. And it can impact everything around us. So how do you handle that heartbreak and then know, hey, in 6 days we're going to have to do this, or tomorrow we're going to have to do this all over again, and not just live in it?
It's tough. I mean, it really is. And I don't care what level, there's some other athletes out there, what level you're playing at, whether you're in the youth league, whether you're in high school, whether you're in college, whatever. It's tough. We remember, athletes, coaches, probably our scars more than our victories. We remember our losses sometimes more than we do our victories. And it's tough. It's tough not to live that way. And an example of that for me personally was, we make it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Unbelievable, right? You get there, but you don't win. And we're the second best team in the NFL. Second best team. But you don't feel that way. You feel like you're the worst team. And I've said this before, and I hate that I feel this way, but I'm being honest and open with you. I'd rather go 0-17 than lose the Super Bowl. It was one of the worst feelings I've ever had as a coach. It's like being right there at this finish line, and you see it like it's right there. It's in front of you, this goal that you have, and it's right there. And it just slips out your hand. It kills, and it hurts. Maybe a little bit more in Philly, because y'all be mean sometimes. It's hard, but that's when you have to go straight back to what your process is, right? Okay, there's a lot of things that got us there. They're not going to be the same next year. Life's going to change. Players are going to change, all that stuff. And it's going back to your weekly goal. It's going back to reading the Bible in the morning or listening to it on the way to work. Going to chapel, going to Bible study. That's the faith part. But it's also just investing yourself in your players, investing in those that you work with as much as you can, and understand that, hey, every year is going to be different. I have to work at it. But you're never going to you're going to have scars. You're going to have reminders of what it was. And there's no doubt in my mind that the team that walked into the Super Bowl this year had enough players on that team, enough additions that had those scars and weren't going to have those scars again, and weren't going to add to those scars. And so the mindset of how they approached that game was probably different than the first time, right? You had a lot of people at the Super Bowl, the first one is like, oh, this is cool, wow, kind of looking at it. This last one, when I tell you I've never been a part of a more focused team in my life, the week before, we're in the hotel, you could see it. And I can say it now because we won, but you could see the look in their eyes. And it's one of those feelings as a coach you don't get very often, but you saw the look from even Saquon hadn't been there. He wasn't there for the loss, but he had dealt with loss, right? He had a tough couple of years back in the day. And so he even mentioned the goal was never to get there. The goal was to win. And that was the mindset that we had. But there was still some of those lessons learned that we took from losing, right? And you can grow in your adversity. You're going to build those calluses from the losses, right? But use them to fuel you, not to just, we're never going to win. It's never going to happen again. I thought that was probably the best team that I was going to be a part of. Little did I know, this team that we got here right now is unbelievable. And it changed, but you can't get stuck in those valleys, right? You got to keep fighting. You got to keep rolling. God's still with you. He's still walking with you. As long as you stay true to yourself, stay true to your process, keep grinding and you roll. And you don't know when it's going to happen. Yep. You got no idea. Yep. I grinded for 6 years before I ever knew what the playoffs looked like. If I'd have gave up at year 6, don't stop at 6. That's a great sermon. Right. If I'd have gave up at year 6, y'all ain't coming to see me talk. Y'all ain't even you ain't talking about, the Eagles guy, because I wouldn't have been here. But it's just that constant grind, and it's his timing, not your timing. Patience is one of the hardest things that we have to deal with. But if you quit, you'll never know.
That's right. Yeah, I love the saying that the overnight success usually takes about 30 years, right? And it's 30 years of showing up. It's 30 years of working through the heartache. It's 30 years of pressing on and fixing your eyes on what's important and watching God move in the midst of that. One more question for you. Obviously, the Super Bowl is as good as it gets. It would feel. But putting that aside, what was your favorite moment from this past season?
Whew. There was a lot. I'm not going to change the whole thing, but there's some stories out there. I know you guys have a story or two of what your favorite moment was in this year, where you were, who you were watching the game with, what the score, all those things that happened. And I think that's the great part about this game, because as a team and fans, we're kind of in it together. I think here in Philly, it's even more so than what you get other places, right? The connections are unbelievable with that. So I know there's been some great moments. There's so many storylines in this year that are unbelievable. Some behind-the-scene things that you see, the plays, Saquon, just being able to work with him this year. But if I really, a game, and I'm going to use this, so the NFC Championship game, right? We're playing the Washington Commanders. It was interesting, right? We had some bulletin board material that the guys had fired our guys up, which was kind of cool, kind of helps. Makes coaching a little bit easier sometimes when they're fired up to play, because something the other teams, coaches, or guys have said, it still happens. You still got to find ways to motivate them. But so the best part of that game is offensively. I'm an offensive coach. They kicked the ball off to Will Shipley. Will Shipley is a running back. Will Shipley has a really good return. Past the 40, really good job. Awesome. Anybody remember what happens the very next play? Touchdown. Saquon to the crib. They gone. So there's two plays. And just, again, personally for me, there's two people that were involved in those two plays. It's Will Shipley, a guy that's in my room, that phenomenal young man, and Saquon Barkley. You know about him. Fast forward, same game. We kick the ball off. We run down there. Will Shipley forces a fumble on a kickoff. All right, you got a running back running down on kickoff. Does anybody remember who recovered it? You don't get to play. Anybody? Oh, so y'all ain't watching as good as y'all talking about. Kenneth Gainwell. So Kenneth Gainwell, what position did he play? Running back, another guy in my room. So on the same play, I got to watch two guys that I spend a lot of time with, as much time as I spend with my family, make a great play. It's not very often you see running backs making a bunch of plays on kickoff. And so to me, it's just that our whole room, that group of young men together, made plays and made such a positive impact on the game. So just overall, just in my coaching, that part of it was unbelievable. Was that game? Was those multiple moments in that same game that we were able to kind of run away a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's been incredible to watch, even as a long-time Eagles fan. It's been incredible to watch the unity and the team that has pulled together. And I think I don't know if you've noticed this, but especially this past season, watching all of the interviews and hearing the amount of guys that mentioned their faith in some capacity. And I'm not talking about when the artist wins the Grammy and says, "Oh, thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making me as awesome as I am to write this song." I'm talking about you could listen to these guys that genuinely said, "No, I'm here because of what God is doing and how God is moving. And I'm curious what it's like for you watching that in the running backs room or on the rest of the team. What is it like, and as a follower of Jesus, how does that feel to see a team being pulled together like that? Not just on the success of we're going to win a ring, but no, we have the same Savior.
It's phenomenal when you can get guys that really, at the end of the day, put their purpose ahead of their job, like who they are as people, and giving God the credit, because when you're giving him the credit, it's that whole humble thing we're talking about, right? It's like understanding that these gifts aren't mine, I need to share them. Understanding that these financial gifts aren't mine, I need to share them. And just having a group of guys, especially on the team, that truly lean into that. And it kept coming. You mentioned that. We go to the media night at the Super Bowl, and it's a huge event. It's in the stadium. There's fans in the stands. There's reporters from, you name it, and you get all different kinds of questions and all that. And just to listen, as you said, to so many men that put their faith first. And I think that's when you kind of know that your team is going to be in a pretty good place when their guys are focusing on something bigger than themselves. And you can't beat it. You can't beat it when guys are motivated that way. Guys are playing for each other. They're using all the things that their faith has basically put in their hearts to do. And the results are great. Not saying you do that and you're winning the Super Bowl, but that was the case for us.
That's fantastic. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit.
Okay, switch it up.
Because one of the things that I think was a highlight for me, and when we've gotten to spend some time together, is the one night that we were hanging out, and you pulled out your work computer, and you and Nathan, my son Nathan, went over film. And you showed him what you're looking for. You showed him how you pulled things together and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I realized and learned from watching you do that is that you just see things differently. You see the game differently. And so I thought it would be fun if we kind of close out this time by seeing some of these key moments through the coach's eyes. And just seeing what you see, help us see what we don't know that we don't know, okay? So we're going to throw a couple photos up one at a time. And I want your first, what do you see?
Okay, well, what I see is a lot of time and effort on my part working on this drill, the off season, the summer, just the amount of work and I'm lying. There's no way I taught him to do that. Just know that. Crazy. Because here's the thing. He knows I hate when you jump. I hate it. For a back, I tell him you're now at the mercy of the defense and gravity. You have no more control over what happens. And if you watch the end of this, he takes a shot like boom in his back and has to come out. So it hurts. And also what you missed, the spin move before, that was nasty. And then he tops it with that. It was crazy. So, again, and I think you've all seen videos when you see the sideline. And there was one video I loved, and the guys are just like, there are these professional athletes that have been playing sports their entire life. And you saw them witness something they had never, ever seen on a football field. We were watching this clip in the office the other day, and part of me doesn't always remember what he's doing. Like, oh my God, just you forget. But there's a clip of me, and I'm like high-stepping up. I get a little high to games, but I'm high-stepping up the sideline like that. And then he comes over, and I scold him for jumping. So, but there's a lot in that, sir.
Love it. All right, next.
Oh, man. Okay. Does anybody know how much Saquon Barkley weighs? He's about 230, 235, depending on the week, depending on the day. Landon Dickerson is holding Saquon Barkley like he's an 8-pound baby. I mean, this picture, it's not like they were like, hey, where's the photographer? Oh, we need a picture of this. He's holding him for a long amount of time, like nothing. But those guys, those big old boys, it's one of the largest O-lines in the world. Unbelievable, just great. But that's the thing. I was like, man, you look little in that picture, Saquon.
Awesome. All right, next.
Okay, she's clapping. Okay, two things. There's two things to this picture. Okay, I do have to preface this. So my dad was in the military. I traveled all over the world growing up. So I was born in Turkey. I don't remember it. We moved before I was born, before I was 6 months or a year. Get to England. My mother was British, so I lived in England for about 10 years of my life. A lot of traveling, all that good stuff. I never had a pet growing up. We couldn't. We just moved overseas, cross sea, you couldn't have it. Had a goldfish, that was it. That was basically for the first 23 years of my life. I never had a pet. And then I meet my beautiful bride. Like I like to say, she country, and pets started. So two parts to this. This man right here is the reason why I have goats. Him. Yeah, and her, and I still don't remember if I was actually told that you were going to be showing up to the house with goats in the back of the truck, and they showed up, right? The other thing I see in this picture, and we talked about this today, this could have been the greatest storyline ever. So understand this. This is a goats. So we have goats. She wanted to have baby goats, so she bred her goats and all that. I'm at dinner. It's the night Saquon signed his contract. I'm at dinner with Saquon Barkley, his wife and his fiance, soon-to-be wife, and his children. I get a call from my wife. The baby goats were born the same night, and I'm like, oh, this is, and I'm showing Saquon and his son. He's like, oh, and they're making little noises. It's like all this stuff. So I'm like, I know what they're going to be called. We're going to have a Saquon and we're going to have a Barkley, and we're going to have these two goats for that. But no, Milo and Oliver, we miss it. So we could have had two goats born on the same day Saquon Barkley signed his contract. We could have pictures with him and his son playing with the goats. Anyway, it's the last time. I'm naming them next time. You guys. Goats. I have goats.
No comment. Next.
So, Will Shipley. It's a rookie. It's the same game we were talking about. He caused the fumble, he's running down. So people don't always understand. They're like, oh, young guy he's getting his first offensive plays. He's been playing the whole game. He's on punt, he's on punt return, he's on kickoff return, he's on kickoff cover. He's been playing the whole game. So he's tired, and he's in there. So he gets in late, and this run, right, we're going to give him, he got a hard time immediately done after this run. Because what he does is he's out of gas. And he's looking up at the scoreboard to see on the bench who's catching, and you'll see him, okay, the ball security we talked about, he gets to what we call his wrist lock because he knows I'm about to get hit, but as soon as he does that, he's just like, please tackle me, somebody tackle me. He can't, because he's exhausted, and he knows he's not going to outrun him anymore, but he's going, and he can tackle, and fortunately for him, this is what we say, you go down on the one, you don't get to score. You don't get to score. We're running, what'd you call it? Tush push. We're running the tush push on the one. So the one smart thing he did was he got tackled outside the 5-yard line, so he may get the ball. He did get to score on this drive as well, and I think you've all seen it. Saquon's, hey, coach, can I run out and celebrate? I was like, yeah, but you got to put your helmet on. So after he scores, he goes sprinting out on there to celebrate with him and all that. But yeah, he'll never live this one down.
Love it. That's great. All right, what do we got next? Oh, who is that stud?
They went old school, huh?
I am a Facebook stalker to another level, let me tell you.
Well, I don't have wrist above the elbow, so my ball security is not great right there. So that's... Yeah, no. The helmet's really leather, too. But hey, one thing, look at it. Do you see all the stuff I have on? I got socks, I got the spat, I got elbow pads, I got wrist. Because we played on old AstroTurf at times too. Now this one, well, I still have scars on my body from playing on the old AstroTurf. And there was some bad turf at Navy and Army. But so that's old school. You're taking me back to the old 2-4.
There you go. All right, next.
Oh. You are a stalker.
I had one job tonight, so I had to do it.
So every summer we take a long trip, we drive, and when I was at the academy, I have a sponsor family. And sponsor family kind of host family that you have while you're in school, because most people are a long way away from home. You have a little bit different lifestyle as a Air Force Academy cadet. So my sponsor family is really like my second family. I met when I was 18. And we've just grown. We had our rehearsal dinner for our wedding there. Mallory's been there a bunch. It's just like, that's my second home. Well, they live in Wyoming in a small house. It's in the mountains away from everywhere. This river right here is great. And I fly fish. There's some certain things that I do mentally to boom, right? And fly fishing is one of them. And there's nothing more beautiful. This is the scene of one of the bends on it than being in the water waiting. And I don't care if I'm catching fish or not. And there's times where I've been around this bend and there's an eagle's nest and I've seen eaglets and all that stuff there. There's been big deer and all kinds of things, elk walk across the water. But that is kind of, it's spiritual, to be honest with you. That time that I get to spend in nature and water, and that is one of those moments, no doubt.
That's great. All right, what do we got next, Ed?
Oh, so somebody asked me the question when we were on the parade. So yeah, I was on the parade. Mallory got to go on the parade. My wife was on the parade. We're all on this. We're on this bus. So it's Nick Sirianni, his family, Howie Roseman, his family, me and my family, and then all the running backs and their family. I saw this as it happened. I saw this play out, and really, just gotta get better hands. This whack. Right in his head, and I mean, to be fair, he really didn't have a chance to catch it. But then fast forward, somebody chucks him, boom, and I got it right in front of my face. His son got hit with one, so the parade is crazy. It's unlike anything I've never in my life seen that many people kind of in one place, and it never stopped. It was a 4-hour, just the energy, the intensity, the whole time was, the players were crazy. It was truly a celebration that only Philly can put on like that. And it was unbelievable. Now, I bleed for this team. He had a little shout out. I think he trademarked that, so he gonna be fine. His little forehead. But that's the parade. That Friday was unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
I bet. Very cool. Is there any more, Ed? I don't remember. Oh, there we go. So what are they calling right here? Just curious.
Yeah, so I think you referred to it as the tush push. So yeah, it's the tush push here. What I see is a touchdown. What I see is a touchdown.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, many have tried to imitate it. We've all seen some of the results of that. And honestly, the amount of work and technique that we go into, a lot of people like to say this, they're just, literally, to find out how we can improve it in years off, we brought a rugby specialist in to talk about some different things that they may do. It didn't all quite apply, but there was some foundational things that you can get from that. Again, that mass moving by. And you can say what you want. A lot of teams can't do what we do. A lot of teams don't have the type of guys that we do. A lot of teams don't have the quarterback that we do. Guys, and even the guys that are pushing, the technique of that is very important, all this stuff. So it's a touchdown. This is awesome. I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl that they were going to stop it, is what we were told. And then the technique they used. Okay, I want to see on the tush push. You almost got me. You almost got me. On the tush push for that touchdown, does anybody know what Kansas City did? Go ahead, you say, tell me. They turned sideways. Chris Jones, their big D lineman, turned sideways on the ball. So we giggle when we see those kind of things. We giggle when we see guys kind of jump. We giggle too because an official told them they were going to give us a touchdown if he kept doing it. Another story. But because we understand just the physics of it, like the power and depth, all the things that we have to do to be good at it. It's not easy. And people want to ban it because they can't stop it. There you go.
There you go. What do they want to ban?
Just fish.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, so before we get to 4th and 1, why don't we just take a few minutes, because I'm sure you all have some questions that you're dying to know. So Eric is going to run around. Nathan is going to run around. We got some microphones. We're just going to take a couple minutes. If you have this thing on your mind that now's your chance, I want to ask, I want to know about this, now's your chance. So you can just shoot your hand up. We'll get over there. All right.
Hold on. Your hands went up way too fast. This is going to be, y'all been waiting. I wish he stopped talking so I can answer my question. I'm going to really get my question asked.
All right, over here.
Resident Cowboys fan, very bitter this year. But congratulations, you earned it. You're going to get the opportunity to meet the president in a few weeks. Do you have any ideas of what you might say or what you might be able to share with him in that moment?
Coming out of the gate hot with the first question.
Hot. Woo! You know what? And this is great. We kind of talked. This is a little bit of your sermon today. I was in the military. Right? So I served in the Air Force. My father was in the Air Force. My brother was in the Air Force. All that stuff. The commander-in-chief, like as a military, that's my commander-in-chief. And it's the same thing. And I had this conversation with somebody else in our building the other day. For me, I don't care what your allegiance is. Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, all that stuff, I don't really get into that. I have what I believe in. I have my faith. I know that really God I serve. But I also have respect for the office. I also have respect for the President of the United States. Whoever sits in that role, I feel it's my job as a Christian to give that role respect. Does that mean I like everything? Does it mean happy about everything? No, it does not. But it also know that I understand that there has to be leadership in this country, right? Somebody's got to do it. We have a process of doing it, and that's how it is. So for me, it's cool. I'm going to the White House because we won the Super Bowl. We got a chance. Now, as an Air Force Academy cadet, I have been to the White House before when we won the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. I didn't get to meet the president at that point, but we did meet him at a later time. So for me, I'm going to see the president of the United States. It just happens to be someone's name at the end of that. But to me, it's the president of the United States. Well done. We probably don't need a mic. Go ahead. You can get there. Yeah.
What was the main difference between coaching Barkley and coaching Swift, both being on the Eagles, one being a rookie and one being more of a seasoned veteran? Not quite a veteran, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And that's one of the reasons why I love the job that I do and the position I get to coach. Because I get to coach a lot of different sizes, shapes, different skill sets, all that, right? So you bring up two. And this is a perfect example. DeAndre Swift's about 195, 200. Saquon Barkley's about 235 bigger. They're different. Their skill sets are different. They can do some different things with their body that they can. So I've learned a long time ago that each player that I coach, I have to individually coach that player. If I walk into a room and think I'm going to be able to coach the varying different guys that I have the exact same, I'm missing the boat. It's the same thing. I really try to incorporate the things of teaching, right? When you're teaching somebody, he may learn visually. He may learn by writing. He may learn by doing, like all the different ways you do it. It's the same thing with the skill set. So whatever I do with the back, boom, we get it back, we sign a new back, I work with back, I go through all their tape. I watch everything, I watch all their carries, I watch all their pass protection, all their pass targets, all this stuff, and I come up with a get better plan. How can I help that player get better? So the way I coach DeAndre Swift and the things I coached him, way different than what I coach Saquon Barkley. Two different people, two different styles of players, but again, both can be very productive. DeAndre Swift rushed for over 1,000, went to the Pro Bowl. Obviously, we saw the year that Saquon had this year, but it required me coaching them in a very different manner. Make sense? Cool. Okay.
Has your faith always been a big part of your life? And if not, how has it evolved?
Yeah, no. I mean, I've always I've been around it. I actually, and this will probably lead in a little bit what I talk about later. I grew up, my mother was Catholic, so I grew up in Catholicism, kind of started that. It just didn't mesh. I just didn't. So, boom, I kind of strayed away from faith, went back, came back, strayed away from faith, and just kind of my journey has been up and down, just like that life has been. And probably, I mean, if I'm being real, probably the birth of my daughter was the big thing. Long story, but we didn't think we could have children. And just went about our way. And we weren't doing anything, weren't doing the fertility, weren't doing all this stuff, weren't doing that. We just said, you know, it's in God's hands. If we're supposed to have a child, we'll need it. And it's funny how he works. In a time in our life, and really a low point in my life, he said, okay, you're ready now. We're a little bit older, a little bit more advanced, and that's a big part of when my faith started and just continues to grow. And it's a daily show. Every single day, it's a change. Every single day, you have to wake up with the mindset that that's what I'm going to be. I'm not going to get it right every day. I'm not. Ask my wife. She'll tell you. But I'm going to try and win more than I lose. And that's been just my faith journey is continuing to grow, continuing to be in the Word, continue to learn, continue to really be able to decipher the Lord's voice.
Yes, as you being a man of God, since you say you like to win and stuff like that, and you dealing with pro general and stuff like that, have you won any souls growing to God, or how do you balance yourself out? You're in locker rooms and they popping bottles and you a Christian. It's got to be very hard. You got to be.
It is. And You have to understand, we're not all perfect.
Yes.
And we're never going to be perfect. There's only one. And that, for us, it is part of it. And I think the phrase that always comes to my mind, and it's really big in what I do, is I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are speaking too loud. And that's something for me, it's like, you know, and then to someone, don't talk about it, be about it, right? That's the other piece. It's like more people are going to see my testimony, hear, maybe be drawn to me, not because of what I say. It's going to be what I do. It's going to be how me and my wife interact when I'm around them, how I treat my daughter, all that stuff. I know for a fact that players watch way more than they listen. And that's the piece for me, is the more that I can walk in faith and happiness. And I go back, I think you actually texted me after. It's like there was an interview with Saquon, and he just had mentioned the comment that he always comes in talking about me with all this energy, and he's just so awesome, and it's all that stuff, and I'm not sure what does it. Well, he kind of learned as it went later, and it's something that I do. When I walk in the building, I drive to when I walk in the building, I tell myself every day, today I'm serving God. And if I can serve God in the building that day, my boss is going to be happy, my player's going to be happy, everybody, they're going to see the residual benefits of my walk. And sometimes I trip into the office and I don't get it right. But a lot of time, that's it. And I always feel that I can handle a lot more issues if I'm handling it that way. And it is. It's just boom, boom, boom. But you see it. We talked about it. There's guys that are faith. There's guys that do that. Are they going to stub their toe? Absolutely. They're young. All right, but it's a part of kind of what we do. I just make sure that, boom, they see my path. They see how I'm walking. They want to follow me. We can do some good things. They don't. They can still look from afar and see what's going on and still learn from away from that.
Here's one over here.
I have two quick ones if you want to answer them. Was there ever a chance of going for the rushing record this year? And who would you say is the Christian leader in the locker room, if you can answer?
Okay. Yes, there was, but then there wasn't. So just the way things played out, and that's a big part of it. And it was tough. Like it was tough because that's some may say a once in a life type deal. Right? It's been around for a long time, but I think the way the year ended, and we broke another record. Right, he had the most rushing yards in regular season and postseason together ever in history, which is funny because in 1998, I was an Air Force Academy cadet playing football right down the road from Terrell Davis with the Denver Broncos. So I got to witness that from afar, and then fortunately here to witness it from the sideline. So that, and then the next Christian leaders. One that is just really emerged, obviously Saquon is doing that. Jalen Hurts is a man of faith. A.J. Brown is a man of faith. Devontae Smith. Some of the conversations in between times that happen in those buildings is unbelievable. Like, it's awesome to hear, and the challenges. And it's not like debate, it's like conversations, and sometimes they're not in agreement, sometimes they are, but just that stuff is permeating throughout the building. So we have multiple leaders that are in the locker room that are of faith and kind of do that, and I think every team kind of has that to some extent. It's not always what gets publicized or put in the media, but there's a good amount of guys that aren't afraid to talk faith as we pass each other in the hallways, as we sit down, as we have conversations at the lunch table. It's a pretty cool thing.
Okay, I've got 1,000 questions, but
Okay, go fast.
I guess the biggest question that I have is, do you know how the Tush Push got started?
You know, it evolved. It was one of those things because everybody's had the single quarterback kind of run in and sneaking up and get going. We just started developing it because we could see, and then we get to one pusher, and then we came with two guys pushing, and then we have a bunch of different plays. It just, like most football plays, as they become successful, other teams kind of try to find ways to stop it. Well, we just kept, okay, how can we push it? So every offseason is like, okay, how can we get better? I mentioned the rugby specialist coming in. Okay, how can we get better? What are some of the trick plays that we can do off of that? Maybe it's a pass, maybe it's a run, maybe it's those type of thing. And it's just evolved, and it's become a part of our identity. Like, you can't, everybody, when somebody runs a QB sneak play or something like that, they refer to the Eagles. I don't know how many times I've heard our team name mentioned in a game that we're not playing in. And and that's what's so crazy is the detail and the amount of work that we've put in just to that play alone for all the years that we've been here. But if you go back and look at 4 years ago to what now, you can see that it's developed and it's changed, and it's what we have to do as coaches is to continue to find ways of how can it be effective. You see some of the defensive coaches trying to find ways that haven't been very successful for them, so it's that cat and mouse chess game that we play. But it definitely started, boom, and it's just continued to grow, and we're just adding pieces left and right doing to be successful.
We got a football one. The Redskins this year dismantled the Lions in the playoffs, right? Now, Lions lost their 2 offensive and defensive coordinators. Do you think the Eagles' Super Bowl loss could go back to their OC and DC leaving? You talked about studying for the ahead during the week, right? Do you think they were focused on their job search and not the Super Bowl? Or at least not 100%, and that had any impact?
I can't really speak for them. I don't know what their mindset was or what they were doing. Our offensive coordinator was in the mix for some jobs, and we won. So, I mean, I think that's part of the whole coaching profession that gets a little tough. It's a little weird how it works in the NFL. It's kind of when you can interview guys, when they can be involved, and, you know, whether you like it, don't like it, how it just is what it is. I think, as we talked about before, is like, how do I focus on this? I can multitask. If a young man, boom, he interviewed a week ago, he can get right back into his focus of what the team is. So I don't know. I don't know if that's why they lost and those type of things. I mean, those questions came up about us 2 years ago when we went, because both our coordinators got head jobs after we played there. I don't know. I'm just glad we won this year, and our guy was definitely in the mix to keep rolling, and he did a great job.
So to talk about the lows, what is your conversation with the Lord when you're at a low? You've done all your work, you put everything out, and you're still getting, not what you want. You're not winning. Like, how do you talk to your players or even yourself when you know you're giving all you got and you're just not getting what you want?
You know, and really just at the Colts, I got probably one of my most cherished kind of comments from a player of how they viewed me as a coach. And it was after our 4-12 year, and you have exit interviews with each one of your players after a season. And you talk, what good, bad, but a lot of things, and you have conversations. And I'll never forget, a young man told me, Coach, the one thing I appreciate about you is that even during these losses, you stayed consistent. And so for me, for my players, I'm going to be this guy. And well, let me phrase it. I'm going to be this because I'm a little hype. I'm going to be that guy up there, and I'm going to stay that way. And I'm going to stay there when we're winning, and I'm going to stay there when we're losing. Now, when I'm alone and it's just me and the Lord, we fight. I'm just being honest. I'm arguing. We're fighting. Why? Why is this happening? Why are we doing? Boom. I'm human. I'm questioning everything. I'm doing things right. I'm living the way you're saying. Boom. I go through those struggles like anybody else does. We're all going to go through those struggles the same way. So I do. I have tough conversations with God and tell him that. But I still, at that point, boom. I'm done. Walk in the building, I'm serving the Lord, and that allows me to stay at that level so that my players know I'm not coming in grumpy because we lost. There's times where I'm going to be more mad about wins and what we did in that win than losses. Because, yeah, we won, but we did bad. Hey, we lost, but here's some of the positives that we've done. And every game you're going to walk away, this is the good, this is the bad. I can stay consistent in that the whole time. So with the players, constant, but we ain't got to fight. We do. It's just the way it goes.
So maybe one or two more. I'm not going to pick.
Hi. What is your favorite part of your job, and what is your least favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is when I get to walk into my position meeting room with my players. Like to me, that's my classroom. That's my mission. That's it. Where I can get my 5 to 6 guys in a room, and it's just us. And I can coach ball. I can coach life. And this year was probably one of the most amazing years. Yeah, you won the Super Bowl. Of course you're going to say that. No, there was conversations in that position room that were more about life, more about being a husband, more about being a father than just football. I said, I like this. I work my butt off during the week, and sometimes I even coach. right? That's the piece that we do. So that's the joy. That's the passion. That's what gets me going, is going into that room and not always, I know what I'm going to install, but I don't know what they've been watching. And sometimes I'll get in and they've been having a little conversation. We'll let that conversation ride, because it may be something that's really important, talking about the world, talking about life, talking about things. And in those moments is when my room has grown tighter together. And there was way more of those moments this year. Probably part of my doing. I was a little bit more open and honest with everything, and it really allowed us to connect. But just that, the relationship, football is a part of it, but it's my relationship with those guys that becomes really important.
All right.
Last question.
Yes.
From another disgruntled Cowboy fan.
Which actually leads into my question. You mentioned your wife. It sounds like you married up. And all
For
that.
sure.
I'm a farm
I'll kick my
girl, so
coverage.
I can appreciate all the animals and all that. I love it. But I want to know how you guys met and how you proposed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Whose version? So, I got the mic. So actually, a friend of mine that I played with that was a fullback, his now wife and my now wife were friends. And really, they were out, and I'm a cadet at the Air Force Academy, and sometimes, cadets, they're just going to leave, and they're whatever, they're fly boys, whatever. So we're in this place, boom, Dublin House, something like that. We're shooting pool. It's like all the guys, and in come my friend's girlfriend and a group of ladies. I was like, oh, who's that? And literally by time, and then she left. They didn't talk to nobody. I was like, man, they kind of snooty. They didn't even want to say nothing to us, all that. So that was the first time I saw my wife. It's kind of funny, right? I saw my wife. Then we met, and she's gonna hate this story. I'm being real. I'm being honest up here. So there's a small hole-in-the-wall bar that we kind of went to as players. That was kind of our hangout. And there should be no reason why Air Force Academy football players should be hanging out in this place. It just became our place where we would just hang out and all that stuff. So she got forced into coming there, and we sat down and talked. Blown away. It was one of those moments, and for those of you that are married, but for those of you that aren't, I knew, like, this was special. And from being we quick, got married. I had to graduate school before you could get married. It's one of the academy rules. Got married, and boom. And it wasn't like we were perfect, and it wasn't like we're that. And the one thing I will say about my rock is, for young guys out there again, marry somebody that's going to pray for you. And she did. And part of the whole life change my walk, my wife. So I got lucky.
I love it. All right, so it's 4th and 1. It's your last push, your last chance. We're going to wrap up tonight. This is your 4th and 1. If you could leave us with something that you just want us to know before we walk out these doors, what would it be?
So, and the question kind of came up about my faith. Like, how did I get to this point? How do I walk to this point? How do I continue to stay this way? And it's not an easy walk by no stretch of the imagination. And so many people have been a part of my walk. And so many people have helped me. So many people have pushed me, from pastors, friends, those type of things that we come. And I really think you have to have someone, right? I don't care who it is. And sometimes you may not know who that someone is. And they're pushing you, and they're pushing you, and they're pushing you, and they're praying for you, and they're doing those things. For me, my walk has continued to grow and get stronger from people that are around me. I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Catholicism, was christened or baptized, sprinkled as a baby, and it was something that for years after I kind of stepped into more of a, traditional faith, Baptist faith thing, where I had never been baptized by submersion. That's just something, and it was always something that was calling at me for that. Like I'd give my life to the Lord. I was walking with the Lord, But that was just one piece I did. And there's nowhere in the Bible that says you must be baptized by submersion. It wasn't, but it was just something that was there. And okay, we're going to do it. And I probably went, about 7, 8 years of just, we'll get back. We'll do it in the summer. We're doing this. Oh, we're doing that. And it really kept kind of on me. And I'll never forget, we're in California, and I'm out with our pastor. We went and had coffee from the church there, and I just remember sitting down with him and saying, Faith is Walk. I said, I don't feel that I have like a tight connection with the Lord. And he's like, I'm going to ask you a question. Don't take this the wrong way. It was just put on my heart to ask it. Have you ever been baptized? And I remember saying, no. And he's like, I don't know why I knew that, but there was a reason. It just, the Lord wanted me to ask you that. So even after that, I still go another 4, 5, 6 years and don't do it. Tim, can you pull up those pictures for me? This was last Monday. I'm going to get emotional. Y'all going to have to bear with me. I'm going to get emotional. That's in our training room. That's the pool in our training room. Can anybody see who's in that picture? Saquon Barkley's in that picture. I called Saquon after his deal was done. And he tells me, Coach, I want to celebrate after I sign my contract by getting baptized. Okay? And I talk faith in the room. We talk faith, all the good stuff. One of his agents is a pastor, and he talks. So he's from all these different angles. And so I tell him, man, it's crazy. As long as I've been walking in faith, I haven't been baptized. Cool. You want to do it with me? What, I'm going to tell Saquon Barkley no? You think I'm going to tell Saquon Barkley no? But I say that because of, it took a young man, very fresh and new in his faith in Christianity, to push an old man that's been walking the way of the Lord to show something. And the way I said it there too that day is, there's not many things that we can do very similar to what Jesus can do. We're going to fall short. We all want to live that way right here. And I remember saying, man, if Jesus gets baptized, why wouldn't I? And so for me, this was a huge, huge, huge step in my faith, right? Because I come from family that wasn't part of what we did. That's not how we grew up. And not only that, young man that I felt I had been mentoring all year to mentor me back. And that's like right there, unbelievable. And we weren't trying to make a big deal of that, but the number of people that heard it was going down and came into the room. Strength coaches were coming in, coaches came downstairs, Nick was there, like this whole group of people were there, and it was an unbelievable moment. Unbelievable moment. And just, it's hard to explain. And I really feel that that's something that this was a phenomenal year. We won a Super Bowl, right? We won great game, all this good stuff. But good Lord, this moment right here, winning a game was awesome. That right there was way more. And that's the and I look out this room and I know there's probably not everyone's not a believer, not a follower. I would hope that's not the case, right? Some people want to come and learn. Just understand that God is good, and a way to live your life and a way to trend. And there's someone you can ask about if it's something you've never done, if you've never given your life to Christ, if you never even thought about that. I'm just telling you, there's a great song, Amazing Grace, saved a wretch like me. And I want you to know that I am not a Bible scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not a preacher. I'm not none of that stuff. But the Lord talks to me. And the more I can learn His voice, the more I understand. The more I can discern. And I have to learn His voice. How do I do that? Reading His Word. Reading His Word. Studying. Doing all that. Anything that you can do. When I work out, I converted probably 10 years ago, I listened to nothing but Christian hip-hop. I listen to other Christian music too, but I stopped listening to a lot of things. What you put in your soul, and I'm talking to the young folk, what you listen to, what you watch is a direct path to your heart and soul. And if you allow anything that shouldn't be to your eyes, you're doing yourself a disservice. Right? Respect yourself even more because you can change your life. I listen to it all the time, right? Because I'm old school, I like hip hop. I grew up listening to all kinds of music when I was younger. Now I listen to music as a positive message because I'm trying to, as much as I possibly can, continue to feed my soul with positive music. That's one way that I do it. But that's a piece, like I said, winning a Super Bowl, winning a soul, I think, is probably one of the greatest. So kind of going back to your question, what you asked, I think that's a little bit of a testament of that. And like I said, my room, Will Shipley, firm believer. Kenny Gainwell, obviously, he's no longer there, firm believer. And it's just a part of what I do. It's who I am. I'm going to walk that walk every day, and I like to think that they see that.
Now, one other person sent you got baptized, man. Did you feel yourself getting closer to the Lord now?
You know, it's weird, right? Because everybody, you get baptized, you're going to walk out glowing, and you're coming out of this water. That's not it. That's not it. Nothing's gonna. It's not going to change. But what it's shown is, like, I've let people, like, to me, was like an inward decision. But I'm just letting everybody know that's part of it. That was just another step in me being obedient to the God. Right? Jesus did it. Why wouldn't I? So now I feel like my relationship's getting closer. Boom, continue. And it's every day. It's those small battles every day. That was just a moment for me that was an obstacle I had to get over. And it took a young man telling me to get it done.
That's great. Will you be around after this just to hang out a little bit?
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
show you some more tools of the trade.
I'll be here.
I almost felt that was a close one. I was just so into the conversation, you know. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to share your heart and share those moments because we don't get to see this side of things, and I think you can get a very one-sided view of what you think it's like to be on the other side of those locker room doors, and to be able to hear from you of what it's like back there, but also what it's like for you to live out your faith, because we're all living out our faith every minute of every day. And so I hope you were as encouraged and challenged as I was by hearing that we can live out our faith every day, whether we're in a locker room. Amen.